So one innocuous tweet by Upasana has landed her in a sexist storm, but also ignited an age-old long debate where it comes to that feared word where it concerns women, ambition and their biological clock, which is of course inversely proportional. Having said that, career-oriented women often face a very painful decision between ambition and biology, navigating a now or never pressure that can make every choice feel high stakes. As careers peak during the same years, fertility declines. Many wrestle with whether to accelerate family plans, freeze their eggs, as Upasana had suggested to the many girls that she had met at that college. Freeze eggs as a hedge, or opt out of parenthood altogether is another option that women actually face and deal with. Each path carries emotional, financial and social weight, leaving women to balance personal fulfillment with what is very heavy in India, societal expectations, while wondering which trade-off their future self will thank them for. All of this has once again been brought in sharp focus after that one particular tweet by Upasana where she met a group of college kids and was a little surprised where she saw when she asked how many of them wanted to get married, start a family, were more boys than girls. And then she also suggested, freeze your eggs, give yourself that freedom. But what happened was, lo and behold, like I said, she found herself bang in the middle of a misogynistic storm with even coining of new words like demographic duty. I don't quite know what that means, but let's take it to our panel this evening. Joining me, Tara Deshpande, author, actor. Rahul Ishwar, social activist and author, will be with us shortly. Adwaita Kala, screenwriter and author. Poonam Mutreja, executive director, Population Foundation of India. Dr. Archana Dhawan Bajaj, gynecologist and IVF expert, director, Nurture Clinic. Tara Deshpande, like I said, one particular tweet where Upasana herself came out and said that she's very, very glad that at least she started a very healthy debate. I don't know how healthy it is, but we've seen, once again, words which I wasn't really very familiar with, that women need to perform a demographic duty of sorts where the onus of reproduction, progeny lies on them.
This debate has several angles. One is, of course, the demographic one. Then there's the biological one. Then there's the economic one. So from a biological point of view, yes, women will have natural pregnancies and have more energy to raise kids in their 20s versus their 40s. Now, as far as demography goes, we have fallen below the replacement rate of 2.1. We're now at a national average of 1.9. But this is a bit deceptive because the state averages, on the other hand, are very different. You have several states where the birth rate is much higher, like Bihar, for instance, is 3. Uttarakhand, I believe, is 2.9. Maharashtra is 2.7. So I think you don't look at the national average alone. You look at it state-wise. You will also notice that there is a correlation in many cases between the more women are empowered in a particular state, the better their quality of life is in a state, the lower the birth rate tends to be. But I think at this point, because we have a generational surplus, we have one of the youngest, but not the youngest, populations in the world. I think for the next 20 years or so, I don't think we have to really be concerned about having more young people. I think what we really need to be concerned about are two things. One is we have a serious problem providing people with jobs. And those who are lucky to have jobs today, they are underemployed or underpaid. We also have the doomsday of AI looming, where it is being stated that 20 to 30% of people in various professions are going to lose their jobs. So I don't think from an economic perspective, producing more young people who are going to then enter the workforce and there are going to be no jobs for them is a particularly great idea at this point. But empowering women, if we want to get into the club of the top 3, top 4 economies of the world, which seems to be what our ruling party is gunning for right now, empowering women is one of the best investments that anyone can make. I think rather than them pushing out babies for the next 15 years or so, pushing out entrepreneurial ideas, pushing out career objectives, in India, 15% of the capital in this country really belongs loosely to women. Do you realize how skewered that is? Men own more than 85% of capital in this country. If you want a society that is going to function in the long game, you have to give women more power, you have to give them more time. And it's sad, in fact, that women have to freeze their eggs rather than getting support from the work environments that they're in, support from their in-laws, support from their parents and friends, so that they can have children at the right time and yet not be punished in their careers for doing so. So I think the holistic approach is required for this. I don't think anyone is wrong, but I think just having, a parochial view is not going to help anyone. I think we have to look at the
Right.
numbers, look at the current situation, and then ask women what they want, because I think women have to decide.
It's a spirited argument, Tara, that you really make. And to me, as a woman who is mid-career, it comes down to one thing which many fear in India, and that's agency. Words like feminism scare people, and when you talk about misogyny, you're immediately bracketed as a feminist, and where agency of women comes into question, I think that is the number one factor which bothers me, where others decide to dictate to you whether you need to contribute to the demographic dividend of this country, or this is your demographic duty. For me, that's number one. But there is a concern because Poonam Mutreja, the fertility rate has only been falling where India is concerned. So that demographic duty, when it really does come down, it reflects in the birth rate. But strangely, why should the onus just lie on women just because they can actually physically reproduce?
So I totally agree with you. Can't disagree with that. But I do want to say that we don't need to worry. Fertility is declining in India, but fertility will continue to grow because we have a very young population. We have 365 million people below the age 24, who many of them are or will be in a reproductive stage or age when we will continue to have babies. And even if we have minus growth rates like Russia and many other countries, no leader, political, social, or corporate, has the authority to tell young people, women and girls, when they should marry, when they should have children. These are deeply personal decisions shaped by individuals' aspirations, family aspirations, economic circumstances, health, the mental well-being and health of the woman at a stage. Does she have anemia? 60% of women have anemia, and their relationships with their partners. And reproductive choices must remain entirely voluntary, and they are, Preeti. I'm very proud that in India today, for a long time, we have no coercion, we do not have dictation by government or government programs, which we did earlier. We had fertility control and all these things. We should be very proud that India has stabilized its population without any coercion. And the state, there is coercion where it comes to social norms and so on, but not by the government and the public. So statements urging young people to marry early and have children in their 20s reduce women to instruments of demographic goals. They overlook women's not only autonomy, but their educational and professional aspirations. What is 20? It's a very young age. And the economic and social realities that influence when they choose to have children. But the main point that I do want to make is that, women would find it easier to have children and careers if the men participated in supporting the woman equally in child rearing, child caring, household work. The entire burden falls on women, and at the same time, the state, making not just pregnancy leave available, but leave for childcare for both men and women, as many countries like Denmark, Germany, and several other countries. Germany uses demographic data for evidence-based resource allocation. Denmark supports women with not incentives, but financial support. And women are able to go back to the careers. And finally, the threat that if I go to have children and take time off, I am not going to be welcomed back or get into the position that I was. Till society begins to treat this achievement, biological advantage that women have as something to be supportive of,
Right.
and not leave the entire burden on women. Above all, women must be viewed as not tools for achieving demographic or political goals. India's progress depends on protecting women's rights, choices, and freedom, not restricting them under the guise of demographic concerns.
Ms. Matrija, you make a fair point, and I would actually look at it from, a perspective where why just 20s, even in 40s? If women choose not to have children, choose to have kids in their 40s, why not? Because there needs to be, it's their choice, and ultimately that's, where the buck stops.